All right, welcome in. This is your guide to drafting Chicago Bears players in your upcoming fantasy football draft. The season is under a week away. We are almost here. I am Kevin Lapka alongside your Bears guy, charter host, digital content producer, 𝗦𝗦ci𝗰𝗶𝗹, who's going to fill you in on everything you need to know. So what we're going to do, the format we're going to work out here, we're going to give kind of like a draft style, list style on the Bears players we would target in our fantasy draft. And we're going to give you all the information, everything you need to know to help you make the most informed decision on who you want to take once it comes to your draft.
Yeah, because, you know, I get it. You want a Bears player on your team to root for, but you also want to get the right guy. Like, you want to win. You don't just want to, like, have a team full of Bears because, listen, the Bears offense might be good this year, but if you get only Bears, you're probably not going to win your fantasy team. So these are the guys we think are good to target in your fantasy drafts coming up this weekend. I'm leading off with a guy who I think is going to be not only a focal point of the offense, but is coming in at phenomenal value in your fantasy football draft, because when you're drafting, it's all about value, right? You want to get a guy who outperforms where you took him. That guy is running back DeAndre Swift. I know, big shocker, Kevin. DeAndre Swift right now, his ADP is 63, which is kind of crazy. He is being taken as the 25th running back off the board. This is according to Fantasy Pros. Kevin Lapka hooked me up with his Fantasy Pros login so I can see all this great info. That's saying he's going to be a running back 3, right? The first 12 running backs are your running back 1s. The next 12 are your RB2s. He's outside of RB2. So they have him slotted in as a flex guy. I think he can easily be an RB2. I think he might crack RB1 status because we know Ben Johnson likes to run the football, right?
Does.
Last year, the Lions had the 3rd most rushing attempts in the NFL. The year before that, they had the 7th most. And I know that was split between Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. Right now, the Bears don't really have a Sonic and Knuckles thing. It's DeAndre Swift and maybe Kyle Monungai and maybe Roschon Johnson. And yeah, those guys will get carries. But I think it's going to be pretty much DeAndre Swift. And what really intrigues me about DeAndre Swift here is I think he really took the feedback that the Bears gave him. You know, there was a lot of criticism of dancing behind the line. This is, you know, the whole world saw this. Hey, man, hit the hole. If we need 4 yards, go out and get 5. Don't try and hit a home run. It seems like he's internalized that. It seems like he's getting north and south a lot better. The interior of that line is a lot better, so it will help him find holes to go through. And he brings a ton of PPR upside. I think this is an underutilized part of his game.
Okay.
Underutilized part of his game with the previous regime. And we've seen it throughout practice. And we've seen it, honestly, when he did get opportunities to catch the ball in the backfield. He can be a big-time playmaker as a wide receiver, or as a pass catcher out of the backfield, I should say, not a wide receiver. As a pass catcher out of the backfield. So I think that's a little untapped PPR potential there. I think DeAndre Swift could be a huge value. Again, 63 ADP, 25th running back being drafted right now. I think he could outperform both those numbers.
I'm going to present to you the reasons why some people will stay away. And then you're going to tell me why, okay? And I agree with you. Let it be known I agree with you. I think this is really good value. And perhaps the biggest beneficiary of the Ben Johnson offense isn't Caleb Williams, isn't Rome Odunze, isn't DJ Moore from a fantasy perspective. Maybe it is DeAndre Swift. But here's the thing that I think people look at with DeAndre Swift and they think, well, yeah, all those numbers that you presented are great. This was a player who played with the Lions and with Ben Johnson in the past.
Yes.
And wasn't used properly. And there's people that are scarred and scared of, well, does Ben Johnson really want DeAndre Swift on his team? How is he really going to use him? Maybe they do mix in those other guys more. There's that. And then I think there's people in general that just believe that the touchdown upside is pretty low. So you might get the yards, you might get the receptions like you talked about, which I think is great value in the PPR, but come to the red zone, he isn't a prolific touchdown scorer inside the 20. What do you have to say to those two things if you're somebody like that who's looking at that?
All right, let's start with the first one. One, DeAndre Swift is a different running back now than when he was with the Lions. And you can't ignore that the Lions did draft Jahmyr Gibbs and then sent him packing to Philadelphia. But you're not drafting DeAndre Swift to be your fantasy running back for the next 3 years. You're drafting him to be your fantasy running back this year. And this year, this is the running back that Ben Johnson has. And I think he is going to use him.
Okay.
So one, I do think, again, like I mentioned, I think he internalized some of that criticism, and I think we've seen some of those improvements. And I think, again, like, it doesn't matter to me what the Bears' future is at running back down the road. We are talking about this year, right here and now. The Bears are going to use him. The Bears are going to use 𝗬𝗪 Swift this year. Because, again, like I said, behind him it's Cal Monungai, a rookie who is really impressive.
Yes.
Who is an impressive rookie, but is not, like, I don't think it's going to be that even of a split. And again, Roschon Johnson's coming off an injury. We have no idea how serious this injury is for Roschon Johnson. The red zone thing is real.
It's real.
Because there are a lot of targets. There's a lot of people that they can go to. And again, in that Sonic and Knuckles, it was like Jahmyr Gibbs, who is a little bit more of a prolific scorer, is a little bit more of a dynamic playmaker. And you have David Montgomery, who is like the bowling ball, bruiser. The bruiser. 𝗬𝗪 Swift is neither of those guys.
He's just a different player. Disrespectful. It's just
not
right.
Disrespectful.
Yes.
It's not. I don't mean that. He's a different type of player. So yes, like, is he going to score 20 touchdowns or whatever like Jamal Williams did for the Lions? No, I don't think he's going to score 20 rushing touchdowns. Mm-hmm. But I do think he'll have, like, 7, 8, 9. Again, you're not drafting him to be your running back one. Right. You're not drafting him to be the guy who gets you 15 rushing touchdowns. Right now, you can get him as your flex.
Yes.
And if you get 8 rushing touchdowns out of your flex guy, a guy who's going to get volume, who's going to touch the ball a bunch pretty consistently, I believe. Again, I think that's great value for a guy you can plug into your flex.
I agree. Before we move on, I'm going to give you the list of the names of the guys who are that you would consider drafting who are available at that ADP. So, like, you're going to be in this situation. Typically, this is around 5, 6, 7, 8, depending on how many people are in your league. This is a really tough part of the draft. I've done a lot of drafts, and this is a part where people get really, really confused. So here are the names, and Edgar, I can bring you in on this too, that you might be willing to draft at this point, and you tell me if you would take Swift over these other guys. It's 𝗬𝗪 Swift, Aaron Jones, Isaiah Pacheco, and Dave Montgomery, who are basically the 4 that you'll probably have in that range, and you might want to reach for Swift. You might want to take one of those other guys. But of those 4, Pacheco, Aaron Jones, Montgomery, and Swift, who would you take out of those 4?
Montgomery intrigues me because I think he is still a very good running back. But
that goes against what you say, though, because this is a full RB1 who's going to get a majority of the carries for his team, and Dave Montgomery is a clear backup option.
He is, but he is a guy who I know is going to score a lot of touchdowns.
Yes.
I think he's definitely ahead of Pacheco. I think he's definitely ahead of
Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones going to be splitting with Jordan Mason.
Mm-hmm, correct.
Aaron Jones also more of a history of injury. This guy gets banged up a lot. Older. I do think the Vikings are going to lean on Jones and the run game, I should say, similar to the way the Bears are going to lean on the run game. But I think it's going to be more of a split. And then with the Chiefs also, Isaiah Pacheco, great player. I think it's going to be more of an even split between Pacheco and Kareem Hunt than it is going to be between 𝗬𝗪 Swift and whoever the RB2 is that we don't even really know who RB2 is right now.
Edgar?
No, I mean, I think you guys laid it out pretty perfectly. Like, my only concerns were probably Aaron Jones. I had Pacheco last year, so we all kind of saw that dip in production.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones, I did take him in one of my drafts, and but there are a lot of those questions, like you said, about Jordan Mason. So you're right. Like, I think waiting a bit, because those guys are kind of getting skipped over. I mean, are getting taken over 𝗬𝗪 Swift. So I think if you play your cards right, kind of wait a little bit. Seeing those guys go off the board first shouldn't worry you, and you should be comfortable with Swift.
And to answer your question, I didn't really answer your question because I said I would consider Montgomery. I would take Swift over Montgomery. I would take Swift over all those guys, and that comes down to the pass catching. I think the pass catching upside is super real.
Yeah.
And Dave Montgomery does not catch as many balls.
Yeah.
Even when the Bears were not using Swift much as a pass catcher, he still caught more passes than David Montgomery.
Yeah. I think in that group, Montgomery is the only one that'll go behind Swift.
In
typical drafts.
Yeah.
Like, I think I think people go for Pacheco and Aaron Jones first.
But no one would reach for Montgomery ahead of Swift, is what you're saying. That's probably right. But there's people who there are people who will literally just bank on a Jahmyr Gibbs injury and take Dave Montgomery knowing he's a clear RB1 if Gibbs were to get injured. That's just a horrible way to think about it.
Or if he's handcuffed.
Or if he's handcuffed, right. If you drafted Gibbs, you have Gibbs in a keeper league and you want to just have that security.
Sure.
It's all about volume, and that's where I'm going to go for my first pick here. All right. And this is like, I'm not saying who I would draft first. I'm just saying, like, the players that I would target for the value that they're at. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm taking Colson Loveland here as my first pick. All right. You're talking about an ADP of 108 on Sleeper, and his real-time ADP is 122 on Fantasy Pros. That real-time ADP is basically just kind of taking an aggregate of the main sites and where that player is being drafted. So we'll take that 122 number as that ADP. So you're talking about round 10 in a 10-man league, round 9 in a 12-man league, and round 13 in an 8-man league. This has the potential to be one of the winners of the draft for not just for Bears players, but for any player in at that position. I mean, you are talking about a major sleeper potential here with keeper value and a PPR league. And I'll tell you why. There is a reason the Bears drafted Colson Loveland at that position in the draft without that position being a position of need for that team, right? And you look in hindsight and you're like, well, maybe they should have gone edge rusher, or maybe they should have gone left tackle, and knowing some of the things that have occurred in the past couple of days in the NFC North. But they got their guy. This is Ben Johnson's offense, who wants to throw to his tight ends, and you saw glimpses of this in the preseason, and we talked about this in the last episode of Respect Coin, and that first drive of that Bills game, preseason week 2, was very indicative to me of how they're going to use Colson Loveland. And the reason why I put that that star on PPR is because I think they're going to try to use him in a lot of creative ways, and the traits that Colson Loveland has are almost his better traits, I should say, are what he does after he has the ball in his hands and how athletic he is as a tight end. So you might be getting big reception value on screens and flats and quick outs where you won't typically see, a guy like Colson Loveland or tight ends be used, and have him get yards after the catch and get big explosive plays after he has the ball. So if you can get Colson Loveland late in your draft and avoid taking an early tight end, maybe you take a really good sleeper running back or wide receiver in round 4 or 5. You skip out on the big 3, who I would consider to be George Kittle, Brock Bowers, and Trey McBride. If you're not getting one of those 3, instead of going Hawkinson, Kelsey, Mark Andrews, Tucker Kraft, wait, get Colson Loveland with serious value. Risky to have him as your tight end 1, but could pay off. What do you think?
That's what I would caution against. I would say I love the pick as a stash. As a, let's see how this season, how the offense looks early on. But I might pair him with another tight end. I might even pair him with 𝗁𝗁, to be honest.
Oof, but then
it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
Maybe like a 𝗁𝗁𝗶𝗹 instead. Maybe a Jake Ferguson instead.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like.
But you're doubling up on those guys.
I'm doubling up on like a value guy, and I might just wait to see with Colson Loveland before I put him into my lineup. But I do agree he could be one of those guys who blossoms into a league winner. But it, obviously there are some risks there. But you're absolutely right. The Bears drafted him because Ben Johnson wants this guy in his offense. When Ben Johnson says, "This guy reminds me of Sam Laporta," your ears perk up. And it is clear that the Bears want to get him the football. It is clear that he has developed a good chemistry with pretty much all the quarterbacks that he played with. So is he going to be catching 6 balls for 80, 90, 100 yards a game? I don't think that. But I do think he's going to be getting targets. He might be getting 2 or 3 catches, and one of those catches could be a 30-yarder. And one of those catches could be a touchdown. Right. It's kind of a boom or bust thing. And I do think he will get his opportunities to score, which is kind of what you're looking for in a tight end, especially if you're waiting, especially if you're not going with those top 3 guys. You're looking for a dude who can score once every 3 games or maybe once every other game. Like, that's obviously huge. And then if you're in a keeper league, then like this could be huge because this guy could be the tight end 1 sooner rather than later. So
big keeper value.
Right, exactly. Huge keeper value, especially if you're there. But I don't know if I would make him my tight end 1.
Yeah.
Like maybe tight end 2, maybe, a wait and see type of guy.
I mean, what I've done in my leagues is I've taken George Kittle early on in 2 of my leagues and taken Colson Loveland in like the 11th round in both of them. Now, those were like 8-man leagues, right? If you get into some of these larger man leagues, like a 12 or even a 14, like, again, this is what I'm talking about. It's a weird past couple of years with tight ends, right? Like
there's
really only 3 guys that I'm taking in the first 4 rounds. And again, that's Browers, McBride, and Kittle. There's a significant drop off for me after that point. So if you're somebody who believes, why would I take Laporta in round 5 when I could get maybe DeAndre Swift at that point, and I could get somebody else, and I can wait, and maybe the production for Loveland is still lower than Laporta is, but the discrepancy in where he's being drafted at and the amount of points they have at the end of the year is going to be worth it to take him at that point and maybe bank on getting those better guys early. So
I pulled up the guys who are being drafted around him, and even after him, maybe this is the move, Kevin.
Okay. Oh, geez.
If you're drafting Colson Loveland, you can wait a little bit, and maybe you pair him with a Zach Ertz. Maybe you pair him with a Hunter Henry. These are not guys that are going to light up the stat sheet, but these are vets. You know exactly what you are getting with them.
Matchup dependent, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're like, okay, if the Colson Loveland thing isn't working out, all right, I got Zach Ertz, and I'll be okay.
You're not happy about it, but you'll be okay. You'll live.
You'll live.
You'll live, yes.
You will live.
Yes.
You're probably not going to get a goose egg with Zach Ertz. You're probably not going to get a goose egg with a Dalton Kincaid.
Or a Dallas Goedert. You know.
Exactly. And you just want to avoid like the disastrous 2 targets, no catches type of games. That's what you want to avoid.
Can you get that floor to 7 points and keep me afloat week to week?
Exactly. Right. And let my guys who I drafted in those 5th, 6th, 7th rounds
go for 20 and 25. Exactly.
Exactamundo.
All right, who you got next for me?
I'm gonna.
Don't take my guy. That's all I got to say. Don't take my guy.
I'm not taking your guy who I know is your guy.
Okay.
I'm not taking your guy who I know is your guy, who is another great keeper stash pick, by the way. I'm not taking that guy. I'll leave him for you. I'm going to take a guy who I think is both of our guy.
Okay.
And it's going to be the first wide receiver that we talk about today. That's Odunze.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about Odunze instead of DJ Moore, again, because of the value. DJ Moore's... I got to pull it up.
I got his ADP for you.
You got his ADP?
58.9 real time.
So he's at 58.9. Odunze 78. 20 picks later. What number wide receiver off the board is DJ Moore?
I can check that out for you in 1 second. DJ Moore off the board. He's going behind 26.
He's 26. Odunze is 34. So again, 8 wide receivers later. Odunze last year had 101 targets. DJ Moore had 140 targets. I expect that to tighten up. I expect it to be a real conversation of who is actually the wide receiver 1 of this team. I don't know that DJ Moore is the clear-cut wide receiver 1 in terms of the football sense, just based on the relationship and the rapport that he has developed with Caleb Williams over this camp. It's looked great. It's looked great, especially the second half of camp as the offense improved, right? The offense early on in training camp was ugly. It's gotten better, right? It's definitely not a finished product, but it's for sure improved, and it's gotten better, and it looks more like an offense. And as things have gotten better, so has Odunze's role, so has Odunze's performance. The ball seems to find him, both in the rhythm, right? In the rhythm of the offense, when Caleb Williams is going 1, 2, 3, Odunze has been getting his targets. And when things break down, then Odunze really gets his targets. When things break down, it seems like Caleb Williams is looking for Rome, throwing the ball up. Let me give my really tall guy a chance. That scramble drill has looked good between 18 and 15. So, again, the value, I think, is really there. You can get him after DJ Moore. I think the targets are going to go up. And again, we just got done talking about it. I think the scoring opportunities are going to be there. I think when they get near the red zone, they are going to be looking up Odunze. We've seen it in the back of the end zone a little bit. There's been some chat about that. We've seen the 50-50 balls. Hey, give Rome a shot. I like Odunze in a lot of those situations where he can use his big frame in those smaller areas, in those tighter areas. So yeah, I just like the value of Odunze from a fantasy perspective. Again, we're talking fantasy football. I like the value of Odunze here over DJ Moore.
If you're drafting Odunze, and you want to be happy about it, he has to score 8+ touchdowns, because this is not a player that prides himself on significant yards after the catch.
Yeah.
He's not. I mean, the value might be up, and like that might not matter, right? He might get more targets and more receptions, and it's huge for PPR. But like, this is not a player who's going to take a 20-yard reception 80 yards to the house. That's just not who he is. But he is a guy who's supposed to have really good hands, and we need to see that in the game more consistently. So if you're drafting him here at that point at 77, you better be hoping he's getting that amount of touchdown value. So I think I like where you're going here. Now, I'm not going to take DJ Moore as my next pick, but I do want to just put him in this conversation here because it just makes too much sense to just put him in this conversation. I think what people do in this scenario, of non-Bears fans who are kind of looking at this from the outside in, right? And they're thinking, okay, Ben Johnson comes to Chicago. Who's the beneficiary of the Ben Johnson offense? It's so easy to look at the situation and think, well, there is a 1-to-1 correlation with increased passing output for Caleb Williams and increased receiving output for DJ Moore.
Totally.
That is not the case at all. And I think that is why some people are really high on DJ Moore and want to take him at that 58 or that 50 or whatever the ADP is. It's 49 on Sleeper. You're in that round 4 or 5 area, is because, like, hey, if Caleb throws for more yards, more receptions for DJ, more yards for DJ. And I think what you're trying to say from what we've seen in camp is, no, that distribution of where those new targets are going to go is trending towards Rome Odunze and Colson Loveland and Luther Burden and away from DJ Moore.
Well, it's different. Yes, it's trending away from DJ Moore, not like DJ Moore isn't getting the ball, but in the sense that it's getting spread out more. Earlier, 2 years ago, right? Caleb Williams' first training camp, it was DJ Moore, DJ Moore, DJ Moore, DJ Moore, DJ Moore. You know, just because it was like, this is the guy. Rome is a rookie. He's figuring it out.
Yeah.
He's figuring it out, and DJ Moore's the guy who knows what to do. With Justin Fields, it was DJ Moore, DJ Moore, DJ Moore, DJ Moore, DJ Moore. Now we're seeing DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, 𝗬𝗓𝗓 Zaccheaus, Colston Loveland, Cole Kmet is getting his targets. You know, that ball is being spread out a lot more, which is why I think, you know, Rome goes up and DJ Moore goes down. It's not a neg on DJ Moore.
Yeah, it's not a
It's not because DJ Moore is doing anything wrong.
Right.
It's not like DJ Moore is all of a sudden a bad wide receiver.
Nope.
Or doesn't fit this offense. I'm not saying that either. I'm just saying I think the ball is going to spread out more, and because of that, Rome Odunze is going to get more action.
The one thing I will say about DJ Moore, where if you already took him, there might be people listening to this who already had their fantasy drafts. They're done. They're like, I want to know if I made the right choice. Here's the upside that no one's talking about with DJ Moore that you would know more than anybody.
Sure.
There could be rushing upside from DJ Moore, and you could be looking at a comparison that Alex Shapiro made a couple weeks ago that's stuck in my mind ever since he made it. Deebo Samuel.
Yeah.
Will they use him in that way? Will you see the end arounds, the wildcats, the fun usages that could provide touchdown upside and could provide those 40, 50-yard explosive plays out of nowhere? The question I have for you is, how frequent do we expect that to be? Because Deebo Samuel, that was an integral part of that offense. It can't be to that level, right?
I don't think it's going to be a focus, but I think it'll be a thing. There are going to be packages. I truly believe, where DJ Moore is like, okay, here's the 5 DJ Moore running plays.
Yeah.
That we've got dialed up. Who knows how many are up for the game? Who knows how many aren't on the sheet? But there are going to be DJ Moore running packages. And I do believe this, again, if you have drafted and you have DJ Moore, and if you're trying to talk yourself into DJ Moore because you love him, I think the Bears are going to manufacture targets for DJ Moore. When Ben Johnson is saying, like, let's manufacture a guy open, let's make sure we get this guy the ball, I think they want to make sure that they get DJ Moore the ball. I think Rome Odunze's targets are just going to come. Like, I don't know that those need to be manufactured because, again, the scramble drill stuff, the when things have broken down, I'm looking for a guy, you know, that playground football. I think the ball's just going to find Rome Odunze.
Okay.
In the rhythm of the offense, I think the ball's going to find Rome Odunze. But when they're like, all right, it's 3rd and 4 and DJ Moore hasn't touched the ball in a while and we know he can get us this first down. Let's just manufacture a DJ Moore first down right now. I think that could also happen.
Okay. All right, so there you have it with the Rome Odunze and DJ Moore. We're both liking the value better on Rome Odunze there. If you're going to take any Bears receiver, I think we would say you would take Rome at 77 over DJ at 59. I think that's our
exactly. It's just fantasy. That's just fantasy football.
Yeah. Also, like the other guys in the range, I like to do this as well, like I did with DeAndre Swift. In the other range of DJ Moore, you have Ted McMillan, who has a clear shot to be wide receiver 1. Jamison Williams, who has a clear shot to be a high upside wide receiver 2, if not wide receiver 1, as far from a fantasy standpoint. He's not going to surpass Amon-Ra St. Brown. Xavier Worthy, who might have a path to being a legitimate fantasy star this year. So I think when people look at that, like, I would just say there might be better paths to higher upside in that range for DJ Moore than DJ Moore. So that's what I say about that. Yeah. Let's go to this is my second pick here. I'm going straight to the quarterback. Let's just get it out of the way. Caleb Williams, all right? This, to me, is one of the most interesting players in the entire draft in all of fantasy. One of the most interesting insights and interesting things that we'll talk through here. This is a real-time ADP of 117 via Fantasy Pros, and Sleeper, it's 133, and I can tell you his quarterback rank, I believe, is around 16. It's right at 16. He is below Justin Fields. He is below Drake May. He is below Justin Herbert, and he's slightly above Jordan Love, CJ Stroud, and JJ McCarthy. So, this is so fascinating to me. I will admit, I have to preface that I have taken him in 2 out of the 3 leagues that I'm in. I have taken Caleb Williams. Yes.
You're on the Caleb Williams train.
I'm on the Caleb Williams train. Here are the strategies you have when it comes to quarterback, all right? And it can make or break your season, and it's a risky strategy.
Totally.
You can go all in round 3 or 4 on the top 3 guys, which to me, in my eyes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow are the 3 guys I'm putting in that
Jalen
bucket.
Hurts.
No Jalen Hurts. He was the QB8 last year, even despite the fact that he has a ridiculous amount of rushing touchdowns. Bo Nix had a better fantasy season than him last year. So I don't like to put Jalen Hurts in that bucket. I think Jaden Daniels could sneak into that bucket. Mahomes could always be in play for that. But, like, I mean, I at least think with Joe Burrow that you're going to get an amazing output. And of course, that Allen and Lamar are the 2 top dogs. That's for sure, right? If you don't want to do that, or you're not in a position to do it, given on where your position is in the draft, my idea has been wait all the way down to round 10 or round 11 and target Caleb Williams. All right? Again,
as your starter.
Is it risky? Yes, it's risky. But again, if you're saving a pick in those earlier rounds to get a really good running back or receiver or maybe even a tight end in round 3 or 4, then you have that advantage. And you might get the output from Caleb Williams to be not what it is for Lamar, Allen, and Burrow. You surrendered that top 3 quarterback potential. You've surrendered that.
Sure.
But can you get like what Bo Nix had last year as the QB7? Can you get what Jalen Hurts had last year as the QB8? And to me, the answer is a resounding yes, that you can get that level of floor to keep you in contention week to week and help you win your league. He showed fantasy upside last year. There were games last year that he had 26 points, 28 points. You remember the Jacksonville game. You remember that Lions game. There were some significant fantasy games. He has the rushing upside as well. When you need it, he doesn't like to use it, but he has it in his toolbox, right? So, Alex, yes, I'm a Bears fan. Yes, I'm jaded. But, like, this is a player who has very, very clear upside with reasons to believe that upside will come. Better offensive line. Really good receiving core. The best offensive coach in football just became his head. I just said it. I don't know what happened there. I had an aneurysm because I'm so crazy about this. His head coach.
Yeah.
Tell me that he couldn't get into that range of like QB7, QB8, like where Jalen Hurts and Bo Nix and those other guys were last year.
He absolutely could. And it's something that you touched on a little bit that I think, again, could be the key. If that's the running ability. I do wonder, and I'm not sure, because they haven't shown it a ton, but they've shown it a little bit.
Okay, breaking.
And I'm like, okay, you've shown it a little bit, but not a ton. I mean, we've all seen it. We've all noted it. It's the running ability. I do wonder if they're going to dip into that a little bit. And I think what is also really important here is that Ben Johnson should be manufacturing easier completions for him.
Okay.
Getting him in a better rhythm. We know he has a ton of great playmakers now.
Yes.
If Luther Burden makes it onto the field, that's a guy who can hit home runs with the ball in his hands. DeAndre Swift is a guy who can hit home runs on little passes. That's a moment where all of a sudden a 3 or 4 yard check down to DeAndre Swift can turn into a 40-yard gain. So the playmakers can help him out. Ben Johnson should help him out. The offensive line is going to be better, so he should have more time. And we saw in that Buffalo game when he had more time, he looked really good. When Caleb Williams was not under pressure, and hopefully the hope and the dream is that he is not under pressure as much. I mean, last year he was under pressure
a lot.
He was under pressure a lot. That should go down. We've seen him step up in the pocket and hit throws.
Yes.
So, yeah, he could definitely take a huge step. So, again, it's the value. Am I a fantasy wimp if I'm like, I'm not ready to risk it all for him to be the QB1. Am I crazy if, again, you kind of poo-pooed when I wanted to do this with the tight ends, pairing him with another guy in this range.
Yeah, no.
But it's really interesting, and this is something that I've done in mock drafts. I've just started doing mock drafts to prepare for my drafts. When I pass on QB, right? If I don't get the Josh Allen, if I don't get the Lamar Jackson, when I've punted on QBs, I have paired Caleb Williams with Justin Fields.
It's so funny.
And I just feel
so
like...
funny, but it's so valid. Yeah.
It's so funny, but it's so valid. I just feel like one of the two of those guys could be a huge fantasy quarterback.
But you could do it week to week, too.
Yeah.
You could be like, hey, this matchup is really good for Justin Fields. He's going to rush for 100 yards. I'm playing him this week, and I'll play Caleb next week.
Right. Or if Fields just is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Then maybe you cut
just roll
bait.
on him. Yeah.
You cut bait with Caleb Williams. Or if Caleb Williams turns out phenomenal, then you just cut bait or trade Justin Fields or do whatever. But that's another one where I like pairing
100%.
with somebody else just to be like, okay, who emerges as my QB here? But you can absolutely see a path to fantasy relevance. Again, as you said, with great value. You're not using a valuable pick on Caleb Williams.
For context, last year, Patrick Mahomes had 30 more fantasy points than Caleb Williams did last year.
And we expect Caleb Williams to have a significantly better season.
Yes.
And 30 points, it was probably, divided by how many weeks?
Divided
by 15
weeks.
To
be fair, Mahomes didn't play the final game of the season, so that factors into it. But still, the
final game of the season is not a part of your fantasy season, though.
That's a good point.
So that doesn't even count.
Good point. Okay. It's just that was, the worst season of Patrick Mahomes' career by far from a regular season output standpoint.
From a fantasy standpoint.
They made it to the Super Bowl, I know.
Yeah, from a fantasy
but from a fantasy standpoint, it wasn't what people expected of him. So, again, that's the kind of floor that you're looking for. And then maybe, you have, the ceiling's still there, though, too. I'm not just saying, the floor is going to go up because he's better. No, the ceiling could make him a top 5 fantasy quarterback very well in play. I've been looking at C.J. Stroud as well as one of those handcuff guys that you can take. Justin Fields for sure. But, this is what I'm saying is, here's the other quarterbacks that you would potentially take if you're doing this idea that I'm taking with the not top 3 guys. Dak Prescott, Brock Purdy, Jared Goff, Justin Herbert, Drake May. Of those 5 guys, I'm taking Caleb Williams over all of them.
Over Justin Herbert.
I'm taking Justin Herbert is not a good fantasy quarterback, especially in that offense. Justin Herbert last year, 288 fantasy points. He had 20 more than Caleb Williams, and he played every single game.
Harbaugh taking over and Omari and Hampton changes.
It's not, and not McConkey's there, but not great receivers. They just lost Rashawn Slater, not touching Justin Herbert at all.
Yeah.
That to me is why I'm looking at it this way. Is of those guys that you are taking, you might as well just take the risk on Caleb Williams, is the point.
I have another wild one when we go lower in the chart again. There's one guy who is way low
I think
down
I know who you're
here.
going. Can I guess?
Yeah, you can guess.
Michael Penix Jr.
No. But that is interesting.
Can I guess?
Michael Penix Jr. does intrigue me.
My guess, Bryce Young.
No, also not my guess.
Don't say J.J. McCarthy, bro.
I'm not saying J.J. McCarthy.
Bryce Young
left does not intrigue me that much.
Trevor Lawrence.
How about Tua Tagovailoa, who Tyreek Hill is back. Okay. Jalen Waddle is still there. He still has 2 unbelievable wide receivers. Obviously, the concussions, the health is always a question, and I want to back up quarterback if I have Tua. But Tua, when he is healthy, is one of the absolutely most accurate passers in the NFL. Just incredibly accurate. And with Tyreek Hill, we know Tyreek Hill is playing now. Jalen Waddle is still very good. Achane, very good. That's a desperate team. I'm a little bit intrigued by Tua just with the value. What are your thoughts on Tua?
More fantasy points per game last year than Caleb. More fantasy points per game last year than Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert, Jordan Love.
And not a good year.
And not a good year. I think there is reason to be concerned, but here's the funny thing now that I think people are down on the Dolphins overall. I think that's in the win consensus, but hey, if anything that helps him from a fantasy standpoint, you have to throw the ball a lot. Yeah. Here's the good news. The good news is Tyreek Hill is going to play week 1, and that was the biggest question mark. Is this guy even going to play for the team this year? Are they going to trade him? He'll be back. How invested he is, we don't know. How much Tua Tagovailoa likes him, we don't know. How much he's going to throw the ball to him, I don't know. But everybody on that team has the ability to make things so easy for Tua Tagovailoa by taking the ball on a screen pass 80 yards to the end zone, right? And I think those are some of the traits that you look at with like the offense that Caleb Williams has now. It's like, can things just be made easy on me? Can the receivers and the running backs do the work? And yes, that is what is presented in Miami.
All right, interesting. All right, I didn't take your guy last time, but like you didn't take your guy.
Did you? Well, it's your turn.
So it's my turn. So,
because
I gave you the
thought I was going to take Burden there at 2.
Yeah, I thought you were going to take him.
You thought I was going to take Burden ahead of Caleb as far as who I want to draft?
I did.
That's interesting. So I guess you got to snipe my guy.
I got you. I gave you the chance to take him.
I know.
It's also, I only prepared a handful of guys. On my notes, I only have so many guys on here.
Okay.
Caleb Williams was one of them. I was prepared to talk about Caleb Williams right now. We were aligned there. But I'm talking Luther Burden.
Take my guy.
I'm taking your guy, Luther Burden. It's another, like, could be, if you're in a keeper league, could be a phenomenal stash player because this is a guy who has unbelievable talent, like great playmaking talent. Was behind the 8 ball because of the time he missed in the spring program, was behind the 8 ball when he missed, a handful of practices at the beginning of training camp. And that was evident. We saw him with missed assignments. We saw him making mistakes with alignments, with motions.
Right.
And that was keeping him from playing with the first team.
Yeah.
He has come a long way. We have also seen him progress. Again, as I was talking about with the offense overall, is it a finished product with Luther Burden? No. Is he going to be the starting slot receiver week 1? I highly doubt that. I really think it's going to be 𝗻𝗓 𝗠𝗶𝗹, at least in the early goings. Sure. But is Luther Burden going to be the starting slot receiver in week 10, week 11? Maybe. If he continues on his trend of development, and if the Bears season goes the wrong way, and they need to turn this into a development season, I think you're going to see a lot more of Luther Burden. And like I said, I mean, the playmaking is off the charts. When he has the ball in his hands, and we've seen it at times in spring, especially with the 2s, because he's played a lot with the 2s. I mean, it's like, oh, that's why the Bears drafted him at number 39, because he's actually very good at football.
Yeah.
So,
I'm perking up now.
So as a stash play, as a keeper play, I love it. And again, his ADP is 153. He's being taken as wide receiver 60. You're not using a valuable pick to bring this guy in. If he sits on your bench for 4 or 5 weeks, and then coming out of the bye week, the Bears are like, we need to get Luther Burden the ball. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, can Luther Burden develop into your flex guy? I think there's a path to that. If you're going to take a dart throw, a flyer on somebody and say, I just want to see if this guy turns into somebody, Luther Burden could be a phenomenal stash play.
This is the biggest value pick in the entire draft. Keeper leagues with emphasis on that being the fact that he might not be as valuable this year. But you know my thoughts on Luther Burden.
You love him.
You know I know how good he is and how much talent he has. The only thing that concerns me, and I have to present these concerns because I'm so high on him, and it's only fair to be, to look at it objectively in every single way, is like I was a little bit surprised that he didn't get any of those starting reps in the preseason, even in game 3. I mean, I know he was behind the 8 ball, but this guy has shown consistently that he can catch the football and do things once he has the ball in his hands, and it was a little bit concerning to me as a fantasy owner that he wasn't getting those types of reps and that type of usage. And that's, again, not a discredit to anybody else on that team because, to be fair, 𝗻𝗓 𝗠𝗶𝗹 has earned the spot that he has right now on that team.
Been so good.
He's been really good. And he made the play against the Bills, the big touchdown on that first drive. He's been good in camp. I get all that. But, like, Luther Burden should be getting a substantial amount of reps with this team. Now, what you said to me the other day, can I say that? Can I say this on camera about how you think they might be hiding him a little bit and they might be stashing him because now that the 53-man roster is set, now that he's working with the ones, this could be Ben Johnson's hidden gem. This could be his toy that nobody knows about, and they bring him in and he just wrecks teams because they don't know how to game plan for him.
Well, working with the ones, we should couch it. It's not like training camp now.
Right.
Now that they've turned the page to like more practice, it's not like, okay, here's our set of 1s reps, here's our set of 2s reps, and here's our set of 3s reps. Like the backups are hardly going to practice now. So if Burden is getting any work, it's gonna be
because he's on the
team.
Yes.
So yes, Burden is getting more work with Caleb Williams, but it's because like Caleb Williams is getting all the work. You know, there's not a lot of Tyson Bagent stuff that is happening now. But yeah, like again, this is a guy who when you say you're concerned about him not getting that first team work in the preseason, it comes down to those missed assignments. It comes down to the alignment.
He hadn't earned it at that point.
Exactly. He needed to still earn the coach's trust that I'm going to know where to be 100% of the time. You know, he was, I'm going to be frank. Like the guy was making mistakes out there in terms of alignment, in terms of motion. And if you don't know where to be, if you don't know the motion,
you can't be on the field.
You can't be on the field. So
I get it.
He had a long way to go in terms of earning the coach's trust. And again, like we've seen that progress. We've seen it clicking in. We've seen him catching up. He had to play catch up. He is catching up. Is he all caught up?
Almost.
Almost. But like Ozzy's, you don't need to worry about 𝗬𝗓 𝗠𝗶𝗹.
Yeah.
That guy can play and is going to know the play, is going to know where he needs to be lined up, is going to know is going to know all of that stuff. You don't got to worry about it.
Yes.
And when it comes to week 1, when you're playing the Minnesota Vikings on Monday Night Football, you cannot risk a guy if you can't trust him to know exactly where he's going to be and that he knows everything perfect. You're going to go with the guy who I for sure know that this guy knows where to be. So
Agreed.
that's the thing that's keeping him off the field. It's not the talent. It's not the ability.
Which is a good thing. I mean, because those are fixable things.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's not
exactly. It's all fixable things. It's all time on task. It's all reps. And he simply just missed out on those reps.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll say about Luther Burden, right? Like, I think the point that you made, if you are drafting Luther Burden, you cannot be expected to play this guy at all in the first 5 weeks. He should not be in your starting lineup anywhere. After the bye, I think is going to be a really, really key point in the season as to that being the point where he starts to work in. The Bears have a tough schedule to start the season. Things might not be going their way. They might need to make a shift, and it might need to take time for Ben Johnson to understand what he wants this offense to look like. And if you want to make the correlation, which everybody wants to do with this Ben Johnson offense, is say, who's his Amon-Ra St. Brown?
Right.
Who is it? It's Luther Burden more than DJ Moore. Obviously, it's not Rome Odunze. Very different players. Luther Burden looks like him when they're out there on the field. He's got the same time of shiftiness and ability with the ball. They're similar in size. Like Luther Burden is Ben Johnson, Amon-Ra St. Brown. And if you're looking for, again, more reasons to be positive about the upside, there's a reason the Bears took him at that point. It's the same point as Colston Loveland. They want him on this offense. They had no business taking a wide receiver in round 2 there. And I keep saying that because, again, there's a lot of people, including Clay Harbor and people on our Shivi shows on CHSN who are talking about the glaring issues at edge and at left tackle. But they went out of their way to get a guy that they think can be a superstar wide receiver. So you're looking at me like I'm crazy for saying that. In hindsight, it's easy to say that they maybe should have taken tackle or edge, but
I wonder if the board had fallen different ways.
If
Luther Burden would have been a Chicago Bear. I think they drafted Luther Burden because the talent is off the charts. But I am not certain that the board fell the Bears' way. Just in regards to why Luther Burden was the pick at 39. I think, if a running back had been there that they really liked.
Trayvon Henderson, who got taken a pick before. You think they would have taken Henderson over Burden?
Maybe there are, certain guys that were out there. That's all, I'm not saying the Bears went out of their way to draft Luther Burden, but again, when the board fell the way that it did,
you had no choice.
When you look at it, it's like this guy's talent is off the charts.
Yes.
This guy's talent is off the charts, and I think, that's when it becomes, okay, yeah, let's bring this guy in.
Yeah. Thanks, guys, for watching this. Tap in the comments. Let us know which players you're taking or which guys you ended up with after your draft, and maybe we'll run it back next year, too, for a little draft preview. We'll see you guys next time. That was fun, man.
That was great.